what is extinction in this channel, right? What we say is that we are likely, very likely, the last generation of humans on Earth. It all ends here, okay? And I've been talking lately about a very popular topic, which is recession. We have a recession coming up. And here's a bit of news on that. Okay, it says Market Watch. We see major stock markets plunging 25% from levels somewhat above today's. That's by the Deutsche Bank, and they say that United States is expected to go into a recession by mid 2023. So if you've got something better to do, well, don't do it. Wait for mid 2023. Maybe it comes sooner. Maybe you don't have to wait that long. Here's a TikToker who apparently got some people riled up because he suggested that also a recession's coming around, and more than 1 million people locked into him. And here it is. He says, you should be terrified. A TikToker went viral for explaining why anyone in the U.S. making less than $25 an hour is in serious trouble. Okay? And the reporter, the person who wrote the piece says, it's time to be scared when a TikToker says so. And so what does this person say? He says, well, a recession looks more and more likely, lasting through most of 2023. Inflation is rising, along with interest rates, and more Americans continue to find themselves in dire financial straits. And he goes on making an analysis of regular expenses, and he totaled them to about $3,300 per month. He says that you would need a minimum of $20.50, almost $21 per hour. And if you add taxes and other expenses, that would reach somewhere around $25. And so he said, you have to increase your income. It's a must. Real average hourly earnings fell 2.8% from October 2021. Unemployment is up 3.7% for October. And he says working side hustles isn't going to create enough income. It's going to have to be what? Investing. You're going to have to invest your money. Probably in Bitcoin, probably in some stock market money or whatever. Somewhere you're going to have to invest. And there's people who oppose what this fellow says, but even these are the suggestions they counter suggestion, I guess you could say, they proposed to him. Find at least one roommate to cut costs in half, or sell that car that you can't afford. These are simply periods in your life that you need to get through on your path to what? Financial freedom, right? And I like that final note that these people said. It says, this is a season of your life, but it's not a life sentence.
I like that term, financial freedom, that gets thrown around a lot.
Well, I was focusing more on what these people said. It's not a life sentence, meaning, is the recession forever, or will we come back? That's the issue. It's going to last a while. The question is, will we come back, or up if you wish, or will we go down into something worse like depression?
Aren't they like professionally obligated to say that it will come back?
Well, it's good for morale.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who is going to go out and be like, no, we're all going to die?
Me.
But like, yeah, exactly.
I'm not a pessimist, okay? I'm just a realist.
Yeah. That's what pessimists say.
Okay, and so this is what the markets, another note out there, another bit of information says, many investors are betting on inflation peak. In other words, that we're coming back. Here's why a former hedge fund manager says they're wrong. Okay, and what he says essentially is that investors are investing in long-dated bonds. And you can see there at the bottom it says long-term rates of interest drop beneath brief time period charges. In other words, he's saying that the investors are investing in bonds, long-term bonds. And that suggests that at least either they're playing safe or that they actually believe that the recession is going to last a long time. It's going to last a little longer than 2023 because some of these people are talking about at least 2-year bonds making it past 2024. So you may have to be ready for a long-term recession, okay? And another bit of news that kind of points in that direction or shows that we have some kind of problem, partly because of this war in Ukraine, is that, the Russians are now changing dollars for yuans, okay? So the Chinese are happy. They're saying, hey, we're going from the greenback to the redback, okay? And so keep that in mind that, a lot of stuff is changing in the world, and it may not favor the West. It's just to wait and see and find out what happens in the future. But right now we have recession coming around, we have oil problems, energy problems, and we have major shuffles in the world economy, like Russia and some other countries going into BRICS, another coin there, and
called
yuan.
BRICS?
Yeah, BRI because they're called BRICS because it's Brazil, Russia. What is
Oh,
it?
yeah. It
India
just
and
sounds like a funny currency.
yeah, it's the
How many bricks do
initial,
you have?
yeah, it's the initials of every country there that is a member. Anyways, these are the possibilities as far as I'm concerned. Okay, we go from recession to depression and maybe to extinction. Okay, the question is whether this is the last recession. Okay, but for that we need to understand what a recession is. The definition we find is negative economic growth for 2 consecutive quarters. Now that's a definition that the British have, and it's also an old definition that economists in the U.S. had. Today they don't want to put numbers to that, like time frames. So this 2 consecutive quarters is an informal definition. The formal definition is just negative economic growth without specifying for how long. The issue is that when you look at depression, which is the next step if things get worse, it's defined as a steep and sustained drop in economic activity featuring high unemployment and negative GDP growth. In other words, they haven't said anything new. It's the same thing as a recession. One thinks of a depression as longer and steeper. That's all. That's the only difference. But other than that, there's really no difference between these 2 definitions. And again, they may not want to define them perfectly well because it might discourage people.
Do
Anyways,
they even use the word depression anymore?
well, no, because
They
it
tend to
hasn't
stay away from that one.
It hasn't happened in a long time.
Yeah, but I mean, even if a recession lasted 2 years, they wouldn't call it a depression just out of professional courtesy.
Or
It's not a depression. You just go into denial.
Just a long recession.
Yeah, really long recession. That's all it is.
Anyways, we look at background extinction. What is it? I say, these are my definition there: the dying out of a species, and mass extinction, the disappearance of a food chain. And the question is whether we're going to disappear with this collapse of the global economy, which is what I think is going to happen. Okay, that's my theory. Okay, and based on the fact that all species in the past that died in a mass extinction died when the economy collapsed, and I don't see any difference now for humans. And there's something, and that's something we can't do much about.
We got brains though.
Oh yeah, but not brains enough to fix the economy. I can't fix it. Anyways, one fellow says, put a comment, says, the economy is going to burn. Don't you think it's a bit artificially contrived? In other words, he's saying whether the people upstairs, the Illuminati, the New World Order folks, the people who run the world, the people who have money and influence, are they planning something? Is this being masterminded or something? Without lockdown policies and green policies and Klaus Schwab shenanigans, I don't see how the eradication of global extreme poverty would be reversing. I don't see it reversing either, so I'm in the same boat as you are. I can't imagine how we can turn this around. Okay, I'm not sure what we can do to solve it. Okay? So what I look at is mass extinction, and the question there is that nobody has really defined the term mass extinction or background extinction for that matter. Here are the definitions you find out there for mass extinction. This comes from the Wikipedia.
Did you define those yet?
Yeah, no, they didn't. You'll see in a minute here. Mass extinction, also known as extinction event or biotic crisis, a widespread and rapid decrease in the biodiversity on Earth. Is that what an extinction is? A decrease in biodiversity?
That's one way to put it.
It's not. I mean, hopefully extinction means someone disappeared completely, not that there's a decrease.
Yeah, a decrease in biodiversity. There's one less diversity.
No, because we're talking about mass extinction.
Yeah.
So mass involves many. We're not talking about one species.
Well, still, the definition still applies. Decrease in biodiversity. There's less differences.
I disagree with you, my dear son. Anyways, such an event is identified by a sharp change in the diversity and abundance of multicellular organisms. It occurs when the rate of extinction increases with respect to the background extinction rate and the rate of speciation. These people talk about rates. Okay, it sounds like mathematicians talking and not about paleontologists, which are supposed to be qualitative. They're supposed to tell us what an extinction is and how it happens. And these people are defining things, as far as I'm concerned, where It doesn't address extinction. I mean, the dinosaurs are not around anymore. Was that because there was a decrease in biodiversity, or is it because they disappeared completely? They died.
It's binary. Is there still one T-Rex walking around or not?
So I call mass extinction the disappearance of a food chain. That's the mass, right? Background would be the disappearance of one species. Okay. Anyways, you can see here that right at the bottom there, just look at one example, Cretaceous there, about 145 to 65 million years ago. Dinosaurs are no longer around, and I'm saying that the definition that we have, the official definition, decrease in biodiversity, does not address what happened exactly at, or somewhere around 65 million years ago. Yeah, if we're talking about decrease in speciation, if we're talking about decrease in quantity, that happens in the last maybe million years or more of the Cretaceous. So it's not like, everything died on one day. It's like it slowly decreased until the decrease was incremental, was exponential, and then they finally were wiped out. Hopefully we talk about extinction has to be defined in such a way that we address the fact that some species are no longer around, and not just saying, oh, it's a decrease in speciation or quantity or whatever.
Yeah, I'm wondering why they defined it so vaguely. Like, what fringe cases did they have to include in that definition?
Well, here
you think it's clear cut.
Maybe the next one.
Oh, I know why. One reason might be because it's hard to tell where one species ends and the next one begins. So they have to say loss in biodiversity. They can't just say when the last dinosaur or when the last T-Rex dies, because then there's T-Rex A and T-Rex B, and they're like close to each other. But when do you say the last one died? Because this one that looks kind of like him might still be walking around.
Well, again, you wouldn't say that any dinosaurs survived beyond around 65 million years ago. There must have been one last dinosaur sometime in the history of Earth. We don't know who that guy was, but there had to be that situation.
But again, they might be saying like some of those dinosaurs just turned into newer species.
No, but that's
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. They had to define it in such a all-encompassing way. They can't just say when a species ends. Because where does one species end and the next one begin?
Well, I think it's very clear. We don't have any mammal-like reptiles from the Permian here. We don't have any archosaurs from the Triassic. We don't have any dinosaurs from either the Jurassic or the Cretaceous. And we're not only talking about these animals, which are very more or less familiar to us. We're looking at also the plants. The plants that died, they disappeared. They're no longer around. So I think when we talk about extinction, we can't just talk about, it's a gradual process where there's a decrease in diversity or quantity. You have to go and say, look, it's the disappearance of something. That's an extinction.
Yeah. Okay, but they also go back in time and study it like frame by frame. So for that time, they weren't extinct yet. Here. Today we can say they're all extinct. Right. That's easy. But they're also looking at it with the eyes of the past, where if you're looking at it from the Cameron point, some of them are extinct and some of them aren't extinct yet. But you can't just say all this whole species died, because they might have turned into a different one. So did they go extinct, or is it just loss of biodiversity? Like, again, I think they had to define it in very vague terms because of these fringe cases.
But because they did that, they don't zero in on the issue, which is the causes, because they say, they just continued rolling and they just branched out instead of, maybe a branch of the dinosaurs became the mammals. Maybe that's what they have in the back of their minds, or something along those lines. And so it's like we never talk about extinction because it never happened. It's just it's a continuous evolution. That's more or less the way that some of these people see it.
I think they defined it in a vague way so that they can accommodate any extinction theories.
Also, and it leads to what the problem is. We've never defined what paleontology is. That's where the problem starts. We don't have a definition for paleontology. This is what you'll find out there, okay? Paleontology, the scientific study of ancient life.
That's what I would have said.
Well, first of all, it's not the study of anything. In science, we do not study. Okay? The word study has to be taken out.
That's very apparent to some of our watchers.
Yeah, we don't study.
We don't study. We don't read books.
We don't study. Anybody can study and not understand anything. So studying is not science. Study is what you can do at home, and you can study all you want, but then when you come to the conference, we want a scientific explanation. And the other thing is that paleontologists don't study life. They study the opposite. They study death, if anything. Yeah. They're supposed to explain how species became extinct. So we don't study life. And you look at the description there, the field seeks information about several aspects of past organisms, their identity and origin, their environment and evolution, what they can tell us about Earth's organic and inorganic past. That has nothing at all to do with paleontology. Okay, in paleontology, we have to tell the crowd how species died. And here you see at the bottom, that's also from the Wikipedia, it says, gives you an idea of what they think about extinction, or how it happens. It says, when dominance of an ecological niche passes from one group of organisms to another, this is because, they're going to tell us the why, okay, the cause. An extinction event allows a new group to outlive the old and move into its niche. That's not an explanation. That's a description. So they put the word because, like saying, I'm going to tell you the cause, and they're not giving you a cause. They're saying, look, it just, one moved down, the other one moved in. They're not telling you why, what caused that to happen. And so, again, we don't have explanations for extinction because the definitions to start out with are wrong, are irrational. Okay, and this is where the problem starts. So, what do they think about? What is a paleontologist? Who does paleontology? And here you see the notions that you'll find. Again, a lot of this from the Wikipedia gives the idea of what people think a paleontologist is. And it's essentially, if you've seen the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Indiana Jones, that's what people think is a paleontologist. Yeah. He goes with a whip, with a gun, maybe with a shovel and a pick, like, oh yeah, I forgot my pick. It's like that wasn't important, and they have this idea that the guy just hits the rock, pulls a bone out, cleans it out with a brush, gives it a name, assembles the bones, puts it in a museum, and starts collecting entrance fees. That's not a paleontologist. That's a stamp collector. Okay?
What? You mean a bone collector?
No, well, it's a stamp collector.
It's creepier as a bone collector.
So here it is. This is the notion people have, okay? This is also from the Wikipedia. You can see here.
This is from the Wikipedia?
Yeah, it shows the first guy, paleontologist at work. No, that's not a paleontologist. That's a boy who's cleaning some bones. That's not a paleontologist, okay? People think that the guy just goes in there with a pig, cleans some bones, and that's a paleontologist. No, that's not a paleontologist. Paleontologist has to explain something. Otherwise, he's not even a scientist. And the other guy he's preparing some fossilized bones. And then here you have an analysis using engineering techniques show that T-Rex, right, had a devastating bite and raised doubts about its running ability. What's that got to do with paleontology? What's that got to do with who cares if he ran fast? I mean, you don't have to tell me that he had a great bite. I can see that he had a great bite. I don't need to do any study for that.
Yeah, because he built it, though.
I mean,
I think you're putting down paleontologists a little too much here.
You look at those teeth and you run away. You say, of course that had a great bite. I mean, do we need to make a study for that? No. The issue is, these people think that a paleontologist is an excavator. Like Fred Flintstone working in the quarry. This is the idea that people have of what a paleontologist is.
And what is a paleontologist?
Okay, so let's find out what a paleontologist really is. Okay, this is a paleontologist. How did dinosaurs disappear? Okay, science, rational explanation. Paleontology is a branch of science, and what does explain? Explain extinction.
Not just extinctions, also how they lived.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
people are curious about that too.
Yeah, but how they lived is a description. It's not like an explanation. I mean, if you explain why they live that way, then yeah, that would be.
You kind of have to backtrack and explain.
But they don't explain. All they do is they describe and they say, "Oh, this is," it's like.
Well, it's more like theorizing. It must have been like this due to its bone structure.
If they do the due to, yeah, but the problem is there's not enough due to. They don't explain. They just say, "Oh, this is what we found. We found a bone. We called it this, and it roamed in Africa or wherever." That's what. It's just descriptions. So a paleontologist is a forensic pathologist, a medical examiner who determines the cause of death. That's the primary job, at least, of a paleontologist, and not what these people say, which is just collecting bones and giving them names and assembling them, putting them in a museum.
You're saying a paleontologist is a detective who's really late for the job.
Late for the job.
Yeah, because the detective comes a day after.
Well, but
this is a detective who comes a million years later and has to
detectives always come late for the job.
Yeah, but this is like really late. He's like millions of years late. Like, okay, time to solve this crime.
Okay,
how did this guy die?
these are some of the comments people made regarding extinction. Okay, first, this fellow made this comment first last time around. Okay, and so I'm going to address what he said because he said I didn't address his issue. He said a nation brew people can start printing their own new money that will kickstart the economy. And I want to emphasize kickstart the economy. This is what he said. What happens when there is no money? We print them again and start the economy again. Again, I'll emphasize restart, kickstart, and start the economy again. No such monster.
How hard is it to comprehend?
Yeah, so he says, how hard is it?
Why didn't you think of that one?
So he's saying it's all a question of printing new money, and that's no big deal because money is just money, I guess, right? It's no biggie. Money, you can use monopoly money if you want. Okay.
I like this guy.
Yeah. Anyways, and so he says you read only half of my comment and misinterpreted what I meant. I don't say you give free money to all people. And I put that as an example, only as an example. If money is just money, and you can replace green money with brown money, well, why not, give everybody in the world, every person, $1 million? I mean, if money is just money, what the hell? So I'm not saying that's the solution. I'm saying that so that you can realize that it's nonsense to say that you're going to just replace green money with brown money, and that you can kickstart the global economy, okay, especially the global economy. And I'll get to that in a second.
Are you saying switching one out for the other?
Well, he's saying that this is an easy solution. He says because I'm saying there's going to be an economic collapse.
So when the dollar falls enough, they just make a new one and start from clean.
Yeah, he's saying we restart the global economy. In other words, everybody is poor again, starts with zero, right?
That's a clean transition, right?
Yeah,
I want to see that.
Bill Gates is no longer rich, neither is Trump, no one, because we restart the economy. Yeah. We clean everybody's bank account, and we start all over. Now we say no more green money, we start with brown money, and why don't we all restart the process? That's more or less. So I'm focusing on the restart the global economy, and I don't think he's got that context in his brain yet, okay? This is where the problem is.
Got a few steps to it, right? It's not just snap your fingers. And we got new money.
Okay, so this is the issue. He says printing, nationalized commercial banks, creating credit for endeavors such as, and he names a few endeavors there, okay? Says what Hitler and founding fathers' money differed from dollars, euros, etc., is that they were printed by government national banks. Therefore, interest went back into budget of a nation and not private pockets of vultures. And they created great economies. Well, the first thing I think the founding fathers would not like to be put in the same boat as Hitler. That's the first one. I think they had different ideas. So, you may say, well, they all created new money, and so we can do that again, restarting the economy. And I'm saying this is where the problem is. I'm saying that, first of all, Washington, in the days of Washington, we had an agricultural society. We were still in the agricultural age, okay? Hitler, that was the age of manufacturing. Very different age. Many things had happened in those 150 years. And today we have the age of services. Okay, and even worse, the last 20 years, we've moved into the age of internet jobs, right? So now we have the internet economy, you could say. So history is no blueprint for today. Okay? National and international trade has taken over. International trade has taken over national trade. So we're emphasizing global over local economies. Right now, international trade is more important than national trade. In other words, consumption within a country. And again, it's a fight between macro and micro. And like I said in the past, macro trumps micro every time. It's the anarcho-capitalists who believe in local trade. You trade with your neighbor, get government off your back, no taxes, no rules, let everybody just follow his own interests, etc., etc. It's the old Adam Smith version. Everyone pursuing his own self-interest moves the global economy forward. Well, that's over. Right now it's macro that governs the world, and it's international trade that's more important than trading with your neighbor. And so all I'm saying is also, finally there, new money will not erase the debt, ownership of property, create new jobs, erase poverty, or create a world government, which in a way these people are saying, because they're saying remove government, and that's like saying we have no government, which was also, by the way, Marxist thinking. Originally the idea was that anarchism was the goal. And anarchism, not in the bad sense, like throwing bombs, that kind of anarchism. No, what they were saying is, look, the workers take over the means of production. Eventually, we have a world government, and then government itself ceases to exist. That was the communist notion. The anarcho-capitalists today have reinvented that in a different way. They're trying to get there, not through communism, but through capitalism, like saying, I'm just going to do my own trading, with my neighbor. But the issue is the money is issued eventually by the government. Even the crypto stuff, all we did was transfer money from existing, from the greenbacks and euros, etc., into crypto. It's not like we created new money out there out of nowhere. The government is still fueling that with just more money that it prints every day. So it's not like we created new money. We have crypto money. It's a new kind of money. Yeah, it is a new kind of money, but it comes from the old money.
It's always back from the government.
It's not like you're going to wipe out all the money in the world and say, okay, instead of green money or blue money, now we're going to have brown money for everybody.
Does it come down to the faith of the new brown money? Because for example, if all these anarcho-capitalists just invented their own money and they just started trading with that, it would solve all problems, except when someone cheats, then who do you call the cops on for the brown money that the government doesn't even recognize?
Well, they have a solution for that as well, saying that there's private courts like, like town halls in the old days where they could settle things locally without having, a global. But aside from that, to answer the other part, is the question: where does that money come from that you made the trade with your neighbor? It comes from, the government, and it's not backed. People are aware of that. It used to be backed by gold. That's long gone. Now it's after Bretton Woods, it's just whatever value you want to give it. And like you said in your first statement, it's all faith. Yeah. It's if you have faith in Vietnamese money that you can do something with it, you'll accept Vietnamese money for your car. Not a lot of people will have faith in Vietnamese money, and they will not sell their car for Vietnamese money. And so the question is, money is not money. Yeah. There's money and there's monopoly money.
They're about the same, but more people accept real money than monopoly money.
Yeah, but real money. What is real money? Real money means that you give it value. It could be gold. It could be crypto. It could be whatever you give value to.
Agreed to give it value.
Yeah, but if we lose faith, if we become atheists in money, that's it. Not much there. No value.
In God we trust.
So another fellow says, he says, the human instrumentality project is about human extinction, okay? And he says the project was to have a machine digital record of humanity, so there's proof we existed after we were gone. Proof for whom? I mean, it's like Carl Sagan. He sent this golden record together with a Voyager 1 and also another one in Voyager 2. And that was kind of like a SETI project, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And you'll never find it in Harvard or in Cambridge, by the way. No intelligence over there. Anyways, they sent these discs out there, hoping that someone out there will find it someday. It's just crazy. It'll never happen.
I mean, it's a nice hope.
It's hope.
It's a nice little gesture, but it's probably on a rock in the middle of space somewhere.
No, it's that again. Civilizations only last 200. To the point where they can use electricity, electromagnetism, and so on. It lasts only 200 years. That's not even a drop of water in the ocean of time of the universe. I mean, what is 200 years in gazillions of years, in eternity of the universe? Nothing. And so you have to find not only some civilization that grew up, that evolved in some planet within 100 light years, okay? And that's only one way, because round trip for them to answer, that's another 100 light years for them to send it at the speed of light. That's 200 years, you're over. You won't receive the message, even if they received your message. And right now we haven't found any life, at least at the level of managing electromagnetism, 100 light years around us. So
on top of the fact that even if someone did find it, they'd just be like, "Oh, it's just another record."
Yeah, I mean, one thing
they wouldn't even know it's extraterrestrial.
It would have to coincide not only in space but in time. Space, it has to be within at least, I would say, 100 light years. That means at the speed of light, you send a message, and in 100 years they receive it. That's one issue. The other one, it's got to be not only an issue of distance, but it's got to be an issue of time. Is that planet, I mean, when you send it to them, maybe they're still in the planet of the apes over there. By the time, it gets to them, they have to evolve another million years before they become human.
Let me cut all your things down with some Star Wars. There's a scene in Star Wars where Luke Skywalker, the robot on Luke Skywalker's ship tells him the odds of him surviving. Beep, boop, boop. You have 0.2% chance of surviving. And Luke Skywalker says, "Never tell me the odds." That's basically it. Don't tell me the odds. Just send the record out into space.
So, and anyways, even if we leave some proof that we were here, I mean, what more proof than a bunch of skeletons on the last day of Earth? You come here and you see, I mean, if the Martians come here tomorrow, and
they did, yeah. Holy
someone
shit.
lived here. Yeah. I mean, but what are the chances of someone coming here? None. Absolutely none. It's less than zero. Okay, another fellow says, we need something like a land reform because, let me evolve on that, because most of the land is monopolized by corporations. Maybe at some point, for survival reasons, it will have to come down to stealing farmland from them. And all I can do is remind you that we had what is known as the enclosure movement. Probably started around the 12th century, but it really took quite a bit of effect in the 15th and 16th centuries, which is when they started enclosing the land and kicking the poor people out, because what were, up to that point, public lands were being enclosed. And when they were enclosed, they drove the people who used to take their cattle or whatever, the horse there to eat, and suddenly that land was not available to them. A lot of these people had to go to the cities, find jobs in there, and the land became more productive by the people who were profiting from them. In other words, they made it more productive. And this comes from the enclosure movement. You can look that up in Wikipedia. The appropriation of common land, enclosing it, and by doing so depriving commoners, like you and me, and the rights of access and privilege. The primary reason for enclosure was to improve the efficiency of agriculture. And it was really not, in the 15th and 16th century, it was not so much agriculture, it was sheep. Sheep was very lucrative for a lot of these landowners, and so they said, I'm going to put sheep in there, and you get your horses, your cows, whatever you've got, out of here. And so they would kick all the poor people out. And Thomas More wrote in Utopia, his 1516 book, your sheep, which are naturally mild and easily kept in order, may be said now to devour men and unpeople.
Unpeople.
So unpeople like you and me,
I like that word.
We're going to be eaten by sheep. Not today, I mean, maybe not by sheep, but whatever the agricultural corporations decide to grow or
the unpeople.
whatever they decide to do with the land. I mean, they're the owners of the land, and supposedly they're running it more efficiently than if we have all these little farmers doing their own thing. So yeah, farmers are being bought out. A lot of them are being driven into bankruptcy. They can't pay some of the bank loans, so they have to sell their land. And even though they had generations of, their forefathers lived in that land, now they got to move out. And big corporations are taking over those lands. They have money. They have some tax breaks from the government, et cetera, et cetera. And what they're doing, supposedly they're plowing, the land much better than a small farmer who cannot compete against them on the market. And little by little, we're getting rid of the small farmer. That's why we advanced nations like Germany or the United States, maybe 1% to 2% of their population and of their GDP is agriculture. That's how efficient we are. The rest is all manufacturing and services. We can't rely on a little farmer anymore, so the big corporations are buying the land, making it more efficient. Are we ever going to get it back? I don't think so. We're going to stay in the cities looking for jobs or relying on government help. That's more or less the situation right now. That's why I don't think that is sustainable for the next million years. Absolutely not. That's why I'm saying we are the last generation of humans on Earth. Here's another comment that says, you claim that you caught arthritis. This is related now to a lot of people have these ideas about medicines and the rich and powerful who are poisoning us with their food, etc. Right?
They are.
Okay, diseases are consequences of bad lifestyle and wrong diet. We're obviously raw vegan primates, as no sane animal cooks its food. Okay, raw vegan diet, natural hygienists have rational explanations for disease formation. They did it in 19th century. Rockefeller took over medicine and transformed it into snake oil salesmanship in 1910. Live longer, stay away from quacks in white coats. Okay, so what can I say to this fella? He obviously has a grudge against some of these rich people who he believes are poisoning us, maybe with additives and so on. So here's my first comment on that, okay? These people, the filthy rich, do they eat foods with additives, or do they avoid them and just give them to us unpeople?
The unpeople. I love that word.
We're the unpeople. So are these people poisoning us only, or do they eat hamburgers as well?
No, they have real people food.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think they eat differently than we do, or?
They definitely eat differently, but I mean, how differently?
Do they ever eat a hamburger? Do they ever put sugar in their coffee?
That's the thing. I mean, no matter what, that food rolls around all over the place, and how are they supposed to track who gets the poison food and who doesn't?
There you go. So I don't think that's the case. But I'm more concerned about this fellow with talking about vegans. Vegan, I eat veggies. In fact, I was thinking the other day that I like almost all vegetables. I don't think there's a vegetable I don't like anymore. I used to not like beets when I was a kid. My mother used to do borscht. She did it very well, but I didn't like borscht. I liked the borscht, but I didn't like the beets. And I didn't like sauerkraut, which is, again, she prepared it very well, but I didn't like it. And today I even eat those. So I don't think there's a single veggie I don't like anymore. But I eat meat. I mean, I love to eat salami with wine. I don't think those two are good for your health, but I just love it. Mm. And I'd rather live 1 year less and continue eating that stuff and not avoid them. But the issue is, some people have problems with the ethical part. The fact that we're killing animals. In fact, we're doing even worse. We're putting them in corrals. We're putting them in pig pens. We're putting chickens in little cages. And people say, well, that's immoral. It's unethical. What can I say? We are the top predator of the world. and we can do anything we want. We're like gods. And people don't like that. Says we have too much power. We shouldn't be abusing the poor little animals. And we shouldn't be killing cows. We shouldn't be killing pigs and so on. They think it's disgusting. It's a disgusting practice. And all I can say, we've done it for thousands of years. I mean, those spears that our ancestors had, they were not to hunt lettuce or tomatoes or catch apples from the tree. No, they were to kill animals. And we were primarily hunters. We killed animals, and thanks to our forefathers, we are here. Okay. Now, the new generations, they have their tummies filled, and now they have opinions. And they say, well, maybe we shouldn't be killing animals anymore,
They have their opinions. That's such a condescending way to put it. Oh, you have your little opinion? Yeah, go fuck yourself,
and
shitty baby opinion.
And here we have the famous PETA people. And what do they say? Well, this is their take on ethics, okay? And they are known as the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, otherwise known as PETA. And they oppose what? Speciesism. Speciesism, okay? What is that? Non-human animals are not objects that belong to us. They're individuals with their own interests just like us. Addressing speciesism and acknowledging other animals' rights can be as simple as respecting their needs or leaving them in peace. I can't imagine a lion thinking like this. Lions don't have ethics. In fact, I was watching one day how a leopard had caught a baby gazelle, and he didn't kill it because he realized that baby gazelle couldn't run away from him. And so he was playing with like cat and mouse, playing with the gazelle. The gazelle tried to run a little bit, and the jaguar would catch him back again. And far away was the gazelle's mother, looking at the whole scene and trembling and seeing, just suffering for her baby there. Well, the jaguar eventually took the baby up a tree and ate him. Now, no ethics there, no pity. And I think what we have to understand is Mother Nature does not care one iota about love. There is no love out there. In fact, she wants the opposite. She wants competition, killing. You're supposed to hunt. The day that we become complacent and we introduce love or ethics into the picture, we are violating Mother Nature's law. Okay? So we don't want love because Mother Nature doesn't understand love. And here it is.
It's kind of fucked up when you put it like that, but it makes sense.
Here's Mother Nature, and this is what she says. She said, I invented love solely for reproduction. That's what love is, according to Mother Nature. That's physics.
Physics.
This thing.
I don't know about physics. Okay.
This thing that we have in our minds, humans have distorted my intentions and used love for pleasure and recreation. The fact that we get a kick out of it,
nice to
love, we take it a little further and we say, oh, ethics and so on. Mother Nature doesn't care. She wants war. She wants killing. She wants murdering. She wants the lion to kill the wildebeest because that's what she made the lion for. And to say, well, the lion now has to give up his practice and be kind to the wildebeest and so on, And here's another vision of what love is to Mother Nature and what it is to others, okay, that do not follow her rules, okay? So here we have, a situation where, we think that love has to do with attraction of some kind. No, she doesn't care about that. She wants reproduction. That's the only purpose of love as far as Mother Nature is concerned. That's pure physics. Anything outside of that, any consideration for some other animal, she doesn't care about that. Okay, and let me put it in a different way, because people are for sure going to string me. Even my staunchest supporter will want to kill me here. And I say that there are animals that we should kill deliberately. We
Mosquitoes.
should kill. No. Well, aside from those, but we should kill the lion. All lions on earth. We have the power to do. We should do that. We should kill all lions, all alligators, all wolves, all animals which are dangerous. We have no need for these animals other than beauty, whatever you want to call it. Okay.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with beauty?
Mother Nature doesn't like beauty. She didn't invent these animals. She said you have to. If you're the top predator, you're supposed to kill.
Kill
T-Rex,
everyone.
Yeah, T-Rex did not have any compassion for anyone below it.
Well, yeah,
anyone who appeared in this.
What I would say to that is we've essentially killed them off, and now we're just keeping them around as toys.
Now we have them for zoos, for entertainment. That's not what Mother Nature made the lion for. She made the lion so that we would kill them all. That's why she made the lion. Okay, he's a competitor. The lion is a competitor of ours. We're supposed to kill him because he's a dangerous animal for us. So is the alligator. So is the shark.
I mean, if you take it to the extreme,
we have no need for them.
If you take it to the extreme, according to Mother Nature, we should be doing whatever we are doing, right? If we're doing it, then that's what she programmed us to do it.
We kill other humans. Forget about the animals. We kill other humans. That's what Mother Nature wants. She wants competition. She wants killing, murder.
Okay. Relax. Got a lot of bloodthirst in you. Kill them all.